faster editing. Although it may not be the most exciting of topics, key bindings, I think, probably doubled my editing speed when I really nailed them down and customized them to my workflow. It's that one thing you can change in order to drastically speed up your entire editing process. And also a special item that I think helps quite significantly. We're gonna open up a project file and explain what's going on. Okay, we have opened up our project here. This is a film that I didn't actually edit, but I colored, called Model Citizens. It's by Folks Films. It was for a 48-hour film festival. Please go check them out. It's fantastic. But you're not here for promotion. You're here for key bindings. So a few principles that I kind of follow when I'm creating key bindings or adjusting the ones that I have. The first one is keeping my hand in the same position. As much as possible, I want to keep everything in one place so I don't have to move my hand back and forth too much. It can get inaccurate, you have to look down, you're wasting time. A similar position for everything is going to be really important. The second thing you want to take into consideration is modifiers. Control, Shift, and Alt all switch up the functions that I have, but still stay in the same kind of line of thinking. And I'll kind of show you what that looks like. The first few bindings I'm going to talk about are all about navigation. That to me is the thing that takes up the most time, getting to the clip you want to get, getting to the time code you need, the right frame. All of that is super important and can take up a ton of time if you're just scrubbing through with your mouse. I'm able to move with A and S to the beginning and ends of clips. So I have just this first track selected, which is kind of our main line. But if I ever want to go to the end of this clip, say, I won't be able to with just A and S. However, if I hold Shift and press A and S, then it goes to the beginning and end of any track on the timeline. So that's really useful if you want to be scrubbing through things like audio. It just allows a little bit more control and finesse. That's my first big one. A and S moves around the timeline. And I kind of accidentally, without thinking, have done the other one, which is zooming in and out. Zooming in is just Z, Canadian American, and then Shift Z is zooming out. With a few quick clicks, you're able to see your entire timeline, get to the place you need, zoom in, and then kind of keep working. We have the macro, the large scale things, moving the entire timeline, moving entire clips. However, I also want to be able to move and navigate frame by frame or a few frames. So that's done with E and R. One frame to the left, one frame to the right, E and R. If I press Shift, it does it by 5 frame increments, left and right. So it's a good way to be able to navigate through a clip quickly, find where you need to be, and then go frame by frame if you need to cut. The last one that I have for navigation that's kind of unnecessary is hitting Shift Space. That's just gonna play the entire timeline from the beginning or wherever you've marked your in point. That one, less necessary, but I still use it quite a bit, so I thought I'd mention it here. Adding a cut. You do it all the time when you edit. That's T for me. However, sometimes you might not want to cut through your entire timeline all the way through. You just want to be working on that single track or just the video tracks, for example. Selecting which track you're working on or even just highlighting the clip you're working on will only cut along that line. See, it's not cutting anywhere in the audio. And then again, with the modifier to it, if I hit Shift T, even if it is highlighted just with this one track, it will automatically cut through everything, which is also useful. This shortcut applies much more to when you're culling footage right at the beginning, picking selects, just raising the clip up and down. So if I am working on this clip here and I really like it and I want to raise it up, that's F. So hitting F and Shift F will bring it up and down. And this can apply to your audio tracks as well if you want to move them up and down. There's a bunch of other ones that I use for more specific circumstances, and I'll go through them just really quick. We have labeling a certain track with a color. Those are just my function keys. I just find it a lot quicker than having to right click, go up into the label, find the one you want. I just have a few common ones that I've set up. Control R is another one that comes up really often. That brings up your clip speed and duration for slow-mo, for time lapses, things like that. That comes up quite often. G will open up your audio gain on any audio track. Control G is another one that comes up every once in a while, especially in the earlier stages, sorting through footage. It just cuts out all of these gaps in between. So hitting Control G just slides everything to the front, makes it a lot easier. Pressing D is going to select any clip at the playhead. If you have one track selected, it's only gonna highlight the one track on that line. This is really useful when you're cutting out a chunk and wanting to move the rest of your timeline back. You press D, Shift Delete, and it'll bring all of your tracks back to the playhead. Pressing Control Q is going to toggle whether a clip is enabled or not. This is really great for non-destructive editing. You can have a clip remain in its place without it showing, so you can work underneath it and then bring it back whenever you need. The last thing I want to talk about is something else that I find very helpful that's not technically a keyboard shortcut. It's a mouse shortcut. Mouse shortcuts. It has customizable buttons as well as DPI shifts, how fast your mouse moves. And I've programmed a few things into it that I use for editing constantly. The first is this multi-key here. What it does is it actually goes to the cut tool in Premiere, waits 0.75 seconds, and then goes back to my pointer. I can make an edit really, really quick just by pressing it, clicking, and then it goes back. This is a function that I've come to love so much. The less key presses, the better. The second customizable button I have on here is actually the delete key in the back. This is actually probably one of the quickest things to add to your workflow. Whether you add it onto your keyboard somewhere as a delete key somewhere else, or onto a mouse like I have, I can just click on a clip and delete it and be moving on so quick without having to move my hands or anything. The third one is a little bit more particular. This is just something I really enjoy, and it's the DPI shift button. It's set to the lowest one when I hold it, and then it'll shift back when I let go. It just allows you to be more accurate without worrying that if you bump your hand, you'll launch it off the screen somewhere. So, if you are going through YouTube and searching how to edit faster, all the relevant information is done, so go. Shoo. Like I said at the start, this isn't the flashiest topic, and I think it's super important and not talked about too much, and that's why I made this. The key bindings that I have changed over the years. They've been slightly adjusted or added onto as I discovered a new function or started doing more of a certain task, and they will continue to grow and continue to change. Hopefully that helps. If there is something there that worked for you, let me know. If there's something that I did wrong, just straight up incorrect, please tell me. I probably messed something up. Let me know. I certainly don't know everything about editing because I think we can all learn something from each other. I want to make really good content for editors. There's so much out there for videographers and photographers, and I feel like the editing aspect gets overlooked so often, and it's also the hardest, I think, to understand for people who aren't in the industry. I want to kind of shed some light on that side of things, and then also teach and learn from you guys. I want to say thank you to Freddie Wong for making the original video that I based a lot of my stuff off of, and then also to Folks Films for the Model Citizens footage, which you can go and watch. It's a really good film that won some awards. You should definitely check it out. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't and got to this point, if you could click like, subscribe, comment. I hate saying that. It sounds so YouTube-y. Thank you for watching. I'll see you soon. I'll see you soon? What? Bye. Oh, God. I don't know how to end this. Toodles? What do I say? Bye, kids? Kids. I don't say kids. Kiddos?